want that to happen, reach out to him and get to know how to navigate that and many other issues. Here with me this morning, I have two interesting guests. One is a teaching fellow at Teach for Kenya, and the other is not a fellow, but will be telling us what exactly the role he has over at Teach for Kenya. We've had the conversation before with two other teachers who have been posted at various institutions, doing very amazing projects, leading young people into the future, but also serving so they can create that, of course, leadership in them. So that I don't get ahead of myself, let me just welcome them, and then we can get to hear more about Teach for Kenya. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having
Please introduce yourself, and then we can get to this discussion.
My name is Magdalene Mweni Mwalali. I am currently a fellow at Teach for Kenya and a law graduate. Yes.
All right. You are a lawyer by training.
Yes,
I am. And a teacher by choice.
Yes. Teacher leader. Yes.
Okay. Brian.
Hi, my name is Brian Bosire. I'm the head of recruitment here at Teach for Kenya.
All right. They say that or Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful tool that we can use to change the world. How do I make sense of that statement? I can maybe begin with you, Brian.
Oh, thank you. How we can make sense of this statement is because education is the greatest equalizer. It makes the peasant have access, to opportunities that otherwise they will not be able to have access to. So the reason why we at Teach for Kenya, we advocate to lead is to serve, is because we believe in empowering the next generation. We live in a world where we're constantly facing change and many challenges. And the reason why we exist as an organization, we believe that for us to be able to effectively prepare the next generation, then we need to be able to cultivate leadership aspects so that they can be champions in and of themselves to be able to lead a future or to path their own future of success.
Right. Magdalene.
Yes.
You were supposed to be a lawyer, supposed to be in a law firm somewhere, but now you are a fellow at Teach for Kenya. Why that choice?
Thank you for that question. Why that choice? Because I was largely driven by a need to give back to the society. I was coming from a point of gratitude for the gift of getting quality education. And given that the dream of Teach for Kenya is to ensure that even children in underprivileged communities get quality education, I deeply resonated with that. And yes, I was willing to commit myself to realize that dream for every child in Kenya.
How long has it been for you at Teach for Kenya?
I am a cohort 3 fellow, so I was posted at the beginning of this year.
Okay.
Yes.
6 months in. I think that's a significant amount of time for me to ask you the question that I had, which is, what are these obstacles maybe that you've got to notice that are preventing many or some of the children from accessing quality education in Kenya?
There are various factors ranging from socioeconomic to, they're economic largely, I would describe it as such. Most of these children come from underprivileged societies. They're not able to afford quality because you get that education is quite expensive, sometimes quality education at least, and most of these schools are under-resourced in that they don't have quality resources to address that challenge. Another factor would be lack of positive role models in the society, because essentially we are placed in communities that are considered slums, if I may call them. Like you get that they are not exposed to people who have actually thrived out here most of the time.
Success stories are not common.
They are not common in those areas. So I feel like for us fellows who have actually gone through the education system, graduated, and I feel like that's a very big motivating factor to these young ones, in that I feel like you cannot go beyond what you have experienced. It's hard to, resonate with something that you have not actually seen. So for us, being there with them and actually journeying with them, and they see what we are doing, and I feel like we impact them even through our stories.
Right.
Yes.
Brian, Kenya and Africa at large is projected to have a very large population of young people, and globally, this is going to be the highest number of young people by 2050, right? And you, as sitting there on the recruitment seat at Teach for Kenya, how are you leveraging this, or how you plan to leverage this young population to ensure that we are getting quality education accessible to all the children in Kenya?
Thank you so much for that question. As you truly said, it's true that by 2035, Africa at large will be having at around 1 billion young people. And as you already know, young people in our country especially, there's a lot of job insecurity, and we need to be able to mitigate some of these things that are leading to this job insecurity or the challenges that the young people are facing. So as the Teach for Kenya, as the head of recruitment, one of the things that we do is we call ourselves as a leadership development program. So we recruit recent graduates for a 2-year paid fellowship program that gives them an opportunity to serve their community in a meaningful and impactful way as they hone their leadership skills. We believe in the aspect of collective leadership as one of the solutions that can be used to mitigate some of these challenges. Because once we recruit someone like Magdalene here, for example, who is a lawyer, we recruit from a multidisciplinary background. So we not only recruit teachers, we recruit people who have a background in law, for example. We recruit someone who has a background in engineering, for example. We recruit someone who has a background in studying environmental science, and we put them in the classroom because we believe in teaching as one of the best models ever that you can use to hone your leadership skills. Some of the greatest leaders in the world, like for example, the founder of Alibaba, Jack Ma, was a teacher, for example. Our second president, Moi, was a teacher, for example. 3 wives of the first ladies in the country, like Margaret Kenyatta, the current wife to our president, William Ruto, was a teacher. So we believe in teaching as one of the models that we can use to cultivate and hone leadership skills in the young people. And the reason why we choose this as the model is because we believe once we empower a young person to become a leader in and of themselves, then they'll be able to create solutions to mitigate some of the challenges that are influencing or they'll be able to create some of the solutions to mitigate the barriers that are hindering Kenyan children from having access to quality education.
All right. Speaking of empowerment, what kind of training and support do you offer Magdalene and the other fellows who are in this 2-year program?
So some of the training that you're able to offer them is one, for example, right now we're in our recruitment season and we're recruiting for next year. So the recruitment process will run from the month. It started in June. It will run up to July, and then in the month of in the month of August, we'll give them offers. The month of September and October, we take them through something it's called matriculation. So this is an opportunity for them to get to know more about us and get to be immersed in the community and get to learn what are some of the challenges that they face. So once they accept our offer in the month of November and December, we take them through something called a Summer Institute training, which is a 6-week capacity building training that equips them with the skills and the know-how that they need so that they can be able to serve in the community. During the Summer Institute training, they get to be trained on things like emotional intelligence. As you realize, some of the children that they get to work with come to class with a lot of emotional baggage. So we empower them on skills on how can they be able to handle when a child comes, for example, and tells them, my dad was beating my mom and I was able to see. So how are you able to handle such a situation? We take them on leadership lessons, for example. We empower them on how can they be leaders in and of themselves, and also how can they be able to teach, to train the young children to also become leaders and of themselves. We also take them on lessons such as, because our focus is on 3 things, improving on literacy, numeracy, and science skills. So we also empower them. How can they be able to equip some of these skills to the young children? So those are academic. We also empower them on non-academic outcomes because we want our children to become confident. We want our children to become, great communicators. We want our children to become critical thinkers. So we also empower them with some of these skills so that they can be able to empower them and transfer them to the children in the classroom.
Magdalene, how has been your experience so far?
I would describe my experience as a joyful ride so far. It's very rewarding to just give of yourself and your skills, your knowledge, your time. It's really beautiful to be part of a journey and, to create impact in these little children. So I would briefly describe it as rewarding.
He said that recruitment is done on a multidisciplinary background. Yeah, so you're a lawyer, there's an engineer. Last time I was sitting here with someone who was a fellow, or still is. I'm guessing still, right? With a background in I think environmental science, and they were telling me about their project in helping these young children take care of the environment, and using some of those skills that they learned at school and translating them to this classroom, still with the syllabus that's offered. Is there a way that you've brought law into the classroom, or there are some lessons maybe you've picked that you've been able to impart in the children?
Yes, I would say I'm making strides towards the why I got into the fellowship in the first place. Okay. So I'm in the establishing phase, because there is a big problem, especially with numeracy and literacy. So I've incorporated some action steps in my class, and I've seen progress so far. So good. Okay. Yes.
How do you ensure that this? You've mentioned a lot of training that happens and support in this 2-year period, but how do you ensure that these people from a multidisciplinary and diverse academic backgrounds are still able to shift their mindset to become teachers? We're told that there's different attitudes when it comes to different professions. Engineers maybe a bit reserved. There are those who are out there. Is this also something that you get to think about as you prepare them to join the fellowship?
Yeah, of course. In our country, sorry to say, teaching is one of the courses where people normally don't choose to become teachers. Like growing up, we normally wanted to become pilots or aeronautical engineering, but depending with how KCSE went for you, that's when you find yourself choosing, even this one can be done, isn't it? But then we believe that teaching is one of the noble professions ever, because you get to deal with young people. So from the word go, we try and encourage and also share with you, what are some of the benefits of transforming these young people, because teachers in our country spend the most time with the kids. I'll tell you for sure, like in some of the communities where we work with, the parents are dependent on their their day's income to survive. So you'll find that the child will be dropped in school at 6, and the parent will come later on in the evening at 6 or even later on. And the teacher is the one who gets to spend the most of the time with these kids, and it gives them an opportunity to shape the future of these kids and determine. So we impress to them what are some of the benefits that accrue by spending time with these kids and by transforming them. So we try to shape them. The other thing that we do, because that we said we recruit from a multidisciplinary approach, is we have coaches. So each fellow is assigned a coach. So beyond the 6 weeks, we believe that is not enough for you to be able to train. So you have coaches who come to visit you in your schools and give you any support that you may need so that you can be able to excel. Also, every month, you also have continuous professional development programs that continuously equip you and empower you so that you can be able to deliver effectively as a teacher leader in the community.
Do you get to collaborate with local communities as well in addressing inequality?
Yes. So, and this is how our fellowship program is structured. So in their first year, we are supposed to understand what are some of these challenges that are facing these children that are limiting them from accessing quality education. So we are trying to understand what are these barriers that are existing. So in your second year, you are supposed to do a capstone project. So the capstone project is supposed to mitigate some of these challenges. I'll give you an example of one of our alumni who was able to do a community project, for example. He realized that some of the things that make their children not attend to school is because there's a lot of drug abuse in the community and people are not able to do the same. So he was able to do in their second year's capstone project was to be able to create a team. So this is not necessarily of students in his classroom, but was able to create a team in Mukuru Kwanjenga where he will invite youths and they'll be able to organize tournaments and they play together. And then when they were playing, he will be able to champion and create awareness on drug awareness. Another person realized that gender-based violence is something that is in the community and it's affecting the children. So they were able to organize a walk in the community where they walked and, with their mouth sealed, creating awareness about, ending GBV and advocating for the equal rights for the girl child. So we were able to work with the community. So depending also with your background, so we will be able to involve the community because our program is geared to making long-term sustainable projects that can help end education inequality.
Magdalene, do you believe we'll get to that very optimistic view that will end education inequality?
I believe so, because once you recognize there's a problem in the society, action has to start somewhere. We can't just sit and watch. And I love that TFK saw that, and they are taking steps to address that challenge. So I believe we'll get there slowly but surely.
All right.
Yes.
You being the latest cohort, maybe I'll take this chance to ask you to tell us the application process for someone who wants to be in the seat that you are in right now as a teacher. How should they approach it? How did you approach it?
First of all, you have to be on the lookout on their social media platforms. The postings are done. Like right now, the recruitment is open for cohort 4. You make your application, then you'll receive communication on whether you'll proceed to the next stage. So there's a process of writing essays. Then you pass that, and then you now qualify for the interview session.
All right.
Yes.
Brian, how long does this process take, the application process? There are fees, and what should people be waiting for as someone who's heading that recruitment?
Yeah, so the application process roughly takes around 2 months until you are given the offer letter. So the first stage is eligibility. So we recruit recent graduates. So a minimum qualification is you must be a graduate, but we also give room for students who are in their final year of studies and they hope to have graduated by December. Those can apply. And then we're also recruiting for people who are under the age of 35, and we're also recruiting Kenyan citizens because we believe we can solve our own problems. So those are the eligibility. So the first stage is once you go to our website, that is www.teachforkenya.org, you will see a tab written fellowship. You can click on become a fellow. So once you click on the tab become a fellow, it's already written there, the eligibility. So if you meet the eligibility criteria, you fill in your data. It can take you roughly like 2 minutes to fill in the data. So the recruitment team will go through the eligibility. If you meet the eligibility, in a week's time tops, they'll be able to invite you to submit your essays. So the essay is basically focused on leadership and also your passion. Why do you want to join with us? Do you have the passion to work with children? So you get to express yourself through the essays. Then the essays are reviewed, and if you meet our competencies and you feel that you're fit, then you're invited to a half-day-long interview. So the half-day-long interview involves things like mock teaching, because you'll be spending a lot of time in the classroom. We want to see, so you'll be given time to prepare a lesson for like 5 minutes, so you'll be able to deliver that, and then we'll do a group activity because we believe a lot in teamwork. And then we'll have another one-on-one interview to get to interact with us and share with us why do you want to join this program? How can this program also be of benefit to you as an individual? Once you go through that, then you get the offer letter. So the offer letter, you'll have a month to decide. That is how the application process is. So this will run up to July. In the month of August, you get an offer letter. But then you see, we normally say that Teach for Kenya, the application process is for us to know you.
Okay.
So in the month of September and October, we do something called matriculation that gives you an opportunity to know more about us.
All right.
So we invite fellows to share with you the experience. We take you to the community to see, because it's not easy to work in the slum for a period of 2 years. So you also get to choose, is this something that you want to commit for the next 2 years? And then after that, then that's when we invite you to the Summer Institute training that starts in November and December. Then in the last 2 weeks, we invite you to relocate. So right now we are looking for 100 graduates or 100 recent young people who are passionate about becoming change agents in the country, and we'll be focused in Nairobi, Machakos, and Kisumu. Those are the three
this is not
counties.
just in Nairobi.
Yeah, this is not just in Nairobi.
Okay.
So we're expanding. Right now we're in Nairobi and Kisumu. We're in 25 partner schools, but now we'll be moving forward and we'll be expanding to Machakos.
All right. To lead is to serve. So I'm trying to get two angles of this from both of you. One is, what does to lead is to serve mean to you, and what will it mean to the kids you're trying to offer quality education to? I don't know who wants to take it first. Magdalene?
I can take it first.
Right.
I would start by saying that there is no leadership without service, according to me. Because for you to be a good leader, I feel like you need to set a pace, you need to set a trend, and actually get yourself to the ground and hit the ground running. For an example is the fellowship journey that we are undertaking. We hear of these education inequalities out here, but it actually takes you getting to this community for you to understand what really is
that
going
it's not
on
a
here.
buzzword.
Yes. So I would just say that there is no leadership without service.
Right.
Yes.
Brian?
For me, I'll say to lead is to serve is study in the angle that, leaders can lead from the front, but great leaders lead together with the people. So this is also being in the ground and being able to create the change that you envision. Not only just wishing, that change could happen, but also being part of the process that wants to see the change happen in your time. Most of the times growing up, we are so quick to blame the government or other institutions. Why is the government not doing this? Or why is, the Ministry of Education not doing A, B, C, and D? But I came to realize that sometimes it is in the smallest of things that we create the biggest of impact. And so to lead to serve is being able to create change within where you are in the smallest of things. And that's why we task our fellows to do a capstone project. Before we could say, for example, maybe one of the schools that we are having is right now there's a challenge in the junior secondary schools. They do not have enough facilities. We may not be able to create laboratories for them. We may not be able to do the bigger or gigantic projects that we need. But that doesn't necessarily mean there's nothing that we can be able to do. I'll give this example of one of our fellow, for example, who her name is John Muir, together with Rachel Vishay. This is the project that they were able to do. So they were placed in Mukuru Kwanjenga Primary School. And in this school, they noticed that when it rains, because it is in a valley, a lot of water comes to the school. And the girl children are affected a lot in terms of being able to use the latrines. So they were able to do a fundraise, and their capstone project was to build 2 toilets. But because of that initiative to build 2 toilets, it reached a point where they were stuck. But Earthy Waters, shout out to you Earthy Waters guys, they were able to notice their work, and because of that work they were able to build 12 new other toilets and complete that project that they had. So if you go to Mukuru Kwanjenga today, there are 14 new toilets. And this was started because of 2 people. So we may not be able to create more, but we can create 2.
Right.
And that is the thing that I'm saying to lead is to serve. To lead is to serve is being able to create those small ripples. It is those small ripples that are able to create bigger waves. So if you're able to create change from wherever you are, whether you're able to join Teach for Kenya Fellowship or not, are you able to create change? What is that one thing that you can do? Can you advocate for change? Can you talk to the parent? What is that one thing that you can do? And that goes a long way in creating change and helping us achieve our vision that one day every Kenyan child will have access to quality education regardless of their social economic background.
Right. I feel like posing for that to, sink in, but because we are on a TV show, just going to continue and try and wrap up here. Teach for Kenya is doing something really amazing, and I'm actually quite impressed by, the success stories I get to hear here from last time's conversation and even now. Hopefully, you've already started thinking about your capstone project. Okay.
Yes.
Looking forward to hear it in your second year and see what exactly it is that you will be implementing. Maybe to wrap up, guys, I'll start with you, Magdalene. Just an appeal to, guys who are out there might be passionate and want to join Teach for Kenya. Maybe, a call to action to them to feel enticed to send in that application.
Hello. I would encourage anyone who is interested in leading in service. Teach for Kenya is the right place for you to be. You're creating impact and you'll be part of a child's life, which is actually a great thing. So I invite all applications and you'll not regret this choice. Yes.
Right. As for you, Brian, as you also try and, entice people to join Teach for Kenya and to make those applications, maybe also do tell us the maybe future goals that you've seen. What direction is Teach for Kenya could be headed towards in the future? If that's not yet thought, it's also allowed.
So in the next 5 or 10 years, we envision a country where we'll be able to have Teach for Kenya in all the 47 counties. Right now, we are in 3 counties. We hope to create an opportunity. Like, for example, if you go to countries like Ghana, for example, or Nigeria, young people, it's mandatory by the government. They take a leap year, after graduate school or after Form 4, where they get to serve their community and give back to their community. It's what in our country we call NYS. So I envision a world where young people will be more than passionate to help the next generation, become better or, being able to stand in and of themselves. So that is the thing that I envision. My parting short words will be 3 things. 1, serve your community, lead with confidence, and empower the next generation. If this is something that appeals to you, then loop on into this opportunity and apply for the Teach for Kenya Fellowship 2024-2025 cohort.
Right. That's Brian Bosire. He is the head of recruitment, Teach for Kenya, a accompanied by Magdalene Mweni, who is a fellow Teach for Kenya in the 3rd cohort. The 4th is open, and you can get to join this fellowship, which is giving young people the opportunity to create an impact in the communities they're in, hone their leadership skills, and also create a career out of it. So this is exciting for you. If you feel this is exciting for you, don't fail to check out the details on how you can send in your applications, and also there are social media accounts where you can keep tabs on any developments which are happening with Teach for Kenya. Asante sana guys, and very commendable job in what you're doing for at Teach for Kenya. I am hoping that, you know, outside of my schedule with work, someday, maybe even if it's for just a week, I can come through and see something that's happening at Teach for Kenya, and maybe, who knows, could be the next teacher and future president, right? All right, let's go for that short break on Biashara Tuesday. I'll be back for your feedback and much more business. Don't stay out of tune.